DMC3 is the coolest game of all time. The things you can do in this game is insane. I mean, yeah, you can do much more insane things in the future installments in this series and the other games, but this is where it all started. I'll get straight to the point right now. Other games started copying from DMC3 in a lot of ways. Let's talk about looking cool during the gameplay. DMC3 is cool because you can do things like this. And something like this. And this. Things like that happens in other games, but mostly when they do happen, these are the scripted sequences to they use the scripted sequences to make it look cool. Still kind of cool in their own way, but it's not like DMC where you can create your own insane wild combos uh, with these weapons and the different moves. And in DMC, there's just so much more to do and deal with the enemies. So much to do that you can do to deal with the enemies. So much more variety when you can like combine insane combos together, and that's why people love this game. In short, and it's not just the combat that's just solid and still pretty good. Even after all these years, even though the combat in the later games is much more crazy than this, it's everything else that comes together to really make this game special. It's a PS2 perfection. It has all the good parts of a PS2 game that you get excited to play whenever you come across a new game when you were a kid or something. It has Dante, an extremely likable main character from the first second of the game that's silly, goofy, and charming in a likable way, and not in an obnoxious way like most of the characters are in current media. And I'll not get into the spoilers throughout this video until the later part whenever I'll be discussing the story. And I'll not use any cutscenes either because they're really good, and you should see them for yourself first. You can say he's like cringy in just one instance during his exchange with the Virgil towards the end about that soul line. But hey, not everyone's perfect all the time. And the dude is just basically a young adult, so failing to be cool for like 1 second isn't anything bad in my opinion. Everyone tries to do that, be cool, and just fails. And Dante also failed at that moment, failed once in that moment. And he's someone who also gets serious when there's a serious situation, and calms down his craziness from an 11 to 1 as he learns to find out whenever something serious is going on. And he learns to find his meaning and purpose in this world. You have a good story that you're engaged in throughout the whole way. You have Virgil, and I'll not even expand on him now. You probably already know about him. He's just the coolest character in the game, like in a game filled with cool characters. He's cooler than Dante. I can't even decide which one is my favorite. He like him or Dante, like Virgil or Dante. I don't know which one's my favorite, but it's probably Dante. He's scary and his presence is felt whenever he's on screen. You have major side characters that are just as good and compelling as the main characters. You have a lady, a cool female. Yeah, that's what she's called. She's just called a lady. A cool female character that just puts Dante in his place, making you really think, as cool as he is, he's not really good with the ladies, or at least not good with this one, the lady. Probably the most badass female character in gaming for me, and also she's a cutie. I love her. I'm in love with her. And you have Arkham, a very shady guy that you're interested into seeing what his deal is, like what he wants, what's his game, what's his goal. And you have Jester, which I wish there was even more of him in the game. He also makes you think why he's there and what he's about. He has some nice entertaining moments throughout the game with Dante, and you have several cool boss characters with good dialogues to entertain you with Dante. You have like god tier voice acting in this game. Everyone in this game makes you believe in their performance that would otherwise might feel cringy given the material they're dealing with. You have the best soundtrack in the. Wait a minute. You have the best soundtrack in the series. Yeah, even the DMC5 comes in at second place in terms of the soundtrack. DMC4 at the third place, I think. Yeah, Devils Never Cry is the best DMC theme, according to me. And it has good ambience tracks in the gameplay while moving around, and that really creates a mood and atmosphere. You have sick tones from Dante that you can stop doing once you start doing them, and all the voices and grunts he makes while he attacks or using different weapon or just his character model and every other character model in the game suits them perfectly. They nailed that aspect. They nail these things down perfectly. As a 10-year-old teen, when I first played this game, I wanted to be just like Dante because he was so cool. Just like every other kid who played this game, or probably the people now, like adults, all of us who still wants to probably be like him. And you have a world in this game like a maze, like Metroidvania, light Metroidvanias, that you engage in and go around and check every corner to find items to open a door or make some machinery work or something. Now I gotta be honest, I've never played any Metroid game or any Castlevania game to know how it works there. Like the most I've played is the Castlevania Symphony of the Night on the PS1 for about like 3 or 4 hours, and fought some bosses that I don't remember very well, but I do like the sound effects in that game and the sprite work. Uh, uh, or the art of the game. Maybe one day I'll play it fully to the end. We will see. Anyway, back to the world of the DMC3. It's pretty good. Crazy good. It's very good. The place that seems like a maze at the start. The place that feels like a maze at the start that you get lost in all the time, but by the end, you know how it's all connected, and it's just satisfying to conquer all of it. You have choreographed cutscenes in the game with action so over the top and insane and good direction that even the million to the billion-dollar budget movies can compete with. And anyways, all of these things combine into something that gives off a very grungy rock feeling to the game. To it, like, come on, there's a guitar in this game that you can use as a weapon. And now let's get into the details with all of these things, discussing gameplay, story, feels, vibes, atmosphere of this game just one by one. Now the least appreciated aspect of this game, I think in my opinion, is the non-combat gameplay, in which way you roam. I would say it's just simple, but this is how it is. In this, you roam around in the world. Now the world of this game is just perfect, in my opinion, I think. Now everyone loves and rules over the atmosphere of the Malay island of castle in DMC1, and it's really good, don't get me wrong. But everyone just overlooks the world in DMC3 that you explore. I mean, the only good thing in DMC3, that's DMC1, that has aged very well over the years, is that Malay Island castle, in which you explore and find the key items to unlock the places that were previously locked. And I love that aspect in any other game it is in, let alone in DMC games. I just love an interconnected world like a Ninja Gaiden reboot trilogy, the first game of the Ninja Gaiden reboot trilogy. But other than that, the combat is simple in DMC1 and kind of old and basic. The soundtrack, I can't remember much of it other than just some themes like menu or like menu theme, or just whenever you get into the game, like just straight up at the start, or some bosses where Dante goes like, "Let's rock, baby." That's what I remember the most about the DMC one, or some bosses themes Thanks to the DMC5 for that. Yes, I'm thanking DMC5 for DMC1 soundtracks. If you played DMC5, you know exactly what I mean here. Story is interesting in concept wise in DMC1, but it's really bare bones, and it has that Dark Souls moment towards the end, which I love a lot. I can't decide whether I love it ironically and unironically. Other than that, DMC1 is just a simple game with not much in it. But I'm like really sorry to the DMC1 fans for criticizing it so much. It was probably really good back in the day. I respect it though, because of the amazing series that was built upon it. Further down the line, except DMC2, we don't count DMC2. I'll recommend you to play it once, like DMC1 for once, to appreciate the architecture that you explore in the game, and to get a basic knowledge of the DMC story and lore. And that's about it. That's like my little review for the DMC1 in here. Now DMC2 is just DMC2. It's pain. DMC2 is painful. It's painfully average. It's even below average. It's painful in comparison to DMC1. It makes me sleep. That's like the worst type of game. Don't necessarily bad, but it puts me to sleep. That's like worse than bad, I think. I've tried to play it quite a few times, but the most far I've gotten into that game is about into like mission 3 or 4, and that's how forgettable DMC2 is. It's the only game that I just haven't like completed or played much of in this series, and it's just infuriating. Like I can't really say I've played like all series because I haven't really played DMC2. Because the only reason that people have played DMC2 is because just how everyone knows how bad it actually is, and people have played it just to check that whether it's bad, whether it's trash or not, and it's bad. It's really bad. Just skip that one. DMC2, just skip it. They just didn't build up on anything good from the DMC1 in DMC2, and that's DMC2. Now we come to the 3, and like according to me, that's the best game in the series, and it's just perfection in terms of having a world that's moody, atmospheric, dingy, dark, with ambient soundtracks playing in the background, suitable for the environment. Like come on, it's the most gamey game. Like you're climbing up a big tower with challenging enemies to test your mettle, and go through some puzzles to exercise your brain a little. And I gotta say, it can be confusing to go through it for the people for the first time that are playing it for the first time. But once you look around and read item description and find way to put those items, then it could actually be a lot of fun to explore this place. This devil tower, this demon tower, Teminigru, yeah, that's what it's called. It's called Teminigru. You look around to find items that will increase your overall health, because you're really gonna need it, because this game, it's hard. It really kicks your ass. It's a crushing experience. It kicks you down so much when you're already down. You have to play it to believe it. And you can find items to increase your devil trigger bar, so you can stay in your enraged state or rage state for a longer period of time than the usual, in which your attacks cause much more damage, you're too much fast, and your health slowly regenerates in your devil state. You'll unlock this power up at one point throughout the game, and believe me, it can become a clutch mechanic in some really intense battle moments, as you'll see in this video here. Just check it around. Now there's an option in the later release of this game, the turbo mode. Now what does this mode do? Now there's it increases the game speed by 20%, making the look even more insane and crazy. Sometimes that mode is on here in this video, and sometimes it's off. I turn it off whenever there's someone around me watching me play this game, so that they can understand what's even happening in the game. And also it's easy for my own eyes, I guess. I think sometimes maybe we need to take things a little slow when everything is just like this much insane. Now before we go on to discuss the gameplay here properly, I'd like to go on a side tangent here about the history of DMC with me, history of this game with me. Where do I stand with it, and what does it mean for me? Like, I don't know, the first contact of me with this game, and just really to get you guys to see it from my perspective. Now, where do I fit with DMC3 in my life? Now we have to go back, and now we have to go back in time for this one. So please just bear with me for a few minutes. My first ever DMC was DMC3. So I'm just glad that it was like my first DMC game. It wasn't 1 or 3. Not bad. 1 was a good game too, but I probably wouldn't liked it back then. Or it wasn't DMC4. Oh man, there's big problems with DMC4, but still pretty good. So yes, DMC3 developed by Capcom back in 2005. Yes, we're gonna have the 20th anniversary for this game next year. The development of this game was headed by the legendary Hideaki Itsuno, the director of this game. I hope I said his name correctly there. And now, anyways, now back to me. Now, I played this game back in 2010, as a 10-year-old boy, and of course I thought Dante is the most coolest character ever. I played it on PC, the worst platform to play it on, like it's the most shittiest platform port of the game on like PC back then. I don't know how it's now with the DMC HD collection, but it was pretty bad. The port was pretty bad back then. It was probably the pirated version of the game being sold to be on a cheap disc at a store near me. But the guy on the cover looked really cool, chill, relaxed, and not bothered by anything. And I was hooked by just one look at him. I know now it was a very bad port, but I didn't know any better at the time. I was just a kid. I was playing using keyboard, but the game kept on showing the gamepad controls on screen and showing gamepad controls for like how to do combos, and I just didn't understand anything. I didn't even knew how to save for a long time because it's, it's it's a bit. It's not like the like the games from 2010s where which just auto saves on themselves by themselves, and that's how bad it was. And but I still love the game. I eventually later found out how to save my game, and I respect and love the never aging PS2 graphics and the charm this game has. But I remember the PC version just looking absolute trash, and despite all that, despite all the problems that I mentioned, this game was still pretty good. It was crazy good. You have to give credit to the DMC3. Even among the modern games during that time, I was still enjoying the shittiest part of this game. Like I'm having the time of my life, and I was having the time of my life. Unlike the games from the 2010s, 2010s, or the other games during that time that were always holding your hand, DMC3 can be old school in comparison to like those games. For some people, DMC3 is old school. So the people who will play it now, but if you're a fan of those charming PS2 aesthetics and enjoys looking at them, like games like Silent Hill 2, or I don't know, maybe GTA looks a bit little different, I guess, but you get my point. Like or like any other PS2 game that you love the feels of, I think you'll love this game. If you push through some of the things that you might find annoying or like infuriating to go through in this game, due to its but what do you call it, like some people would like the archaic nature. For some people, you'll find a game that will genuinely make you smile with its masterful gameplay, heartfelt and a touching story at times, and characters that you'll fall in love with, and which will become your favorite characters, and you'll search for them more, like their things, their more games and their appearances and other things. That's how the characters in this game are. Now for me, the main love for this game starts because of the style this game exudes or oozes. And it's the main character Dante. My only experience with the character action games up to this point was with the God of War games. I played them on PS2 and the PC using the emulator, you know which one. I was a massive Kratos die-hard fanboy. I don't think anyone else was better than him. I had fights in my school time when I was just a teen protecting this character. That's how much of a dumb Kratos fanboy kid I was of like Kratos. But then there was Dante. The kid me didn't want to admit to himself, but Dante was even kinda even more cooler than maybe Kratos. I just couldn't accept it. That this character, Kratos, that I love so much and prayed to so much, was actually getting done for me by this guy in a long red overcoat, by this silly, goofy, dumb guy. And that proves how good DMC3 is and the whole series in general about like the character models and the characters. Now playing this back on PC in 2010, I was trash at the game. I couldn't do any combos. I couldn't even complete the game back then because this game is hard. This game was hard and this game is hard. I'm sorry for that. I couldn't even complete it with the trainer. You know, the trainer means using cheats like unlimited health and the one hit kill, and still I somehow still couldn't do it. Now that I'm remembering it now, I think the cheats didn't really work. I guess they didn't work. Now that I'm remembering it now. I made it to the angel enemies, the shittiest enemies in the game that fly through the walls and you can't attack them. I clearly remember them, that I made it to them like mission 16. I remember that, like right now. I made it to them back then, but then I just gave up. I kept on pushing throughout the game just for seeing the next crazy thing that Dante will do in the cutscene. But the 10-year-old me and his little hands just like weren't good enough for this game. Now the kid version of me, the kid me, always skipped cutscenes in the game, but I never skipped cutscenes in DMC3. I think that can tell you how well made and appealing those cutscenes really are. So anyways, I never really finished the game, but I have fond memories of playing it as a kid and remembering the enemies that I fought. I especially remember fighting like the spider enemies. I don't really know what they're called, so I'll just call them spiders. And I also have a vivid memory of fighting the Gigapede. And the people that were with me during that time were seeing me fighting for my life in this game, and them being disgusted and impressed by looking at the Gigapede and how grungy this game really looks, and how the main character Dante and his boots really stands out. Just top tier character design, I guess. I don't know how many times I have said that now. I'm really sorry for that. Anyways, when the game and the Dante managed to impress some non-gamer females about like 30 years old in age, you know it's probably good. It had such an impact on the tiny kid me that I always wanted to dress in a jacket or a long overcoat or with buttons opened up with no undershirt to show off my abs or something, even though I looked dumb and didn't really had any abs back then. I was a skinny, crappy looking kid, but with a style like that, with like Dante, like copying Dante, I was just happy. Who cares if I was looking dumb? And now, lo and behold, after so many years and such a long time, eventually now as an adult, I started working out finally. And with that in back of my mind, not as a goal or anything, or to like to get the chicks, not to get the chicks, but just that thing in always in the back of my mind to look like Dante in some way. So see, I don't know. This is like a big win for me, I guess. Like that because of some cheesy action game with a silly dumb hero in it on the PS2. I made it happen, or at least I don't know. My health or fitness is good because of this game and its goofy hero, I guess. So I'm sorry. Okay. Now, I've been seeing a lot of people make DMC3 videos and stating how cool or how good this game is after playing it for the first time, and I'm just happy that the DMC3 is celebrated so much. This childhood game that I love so much has the recognition that it deserves. Not every childhood game that you've played is remembered in this way. A lot of them are forgotten by the world, and even you. Like take me for example, I really struggle to remember the name of the Total Overdose. It's another GTA clone game. Total Overdose for a few years. It took me a long time to remember what I played when I was a teeny tiny kid and what it was called, and that's just one example. Anyways, back to the legendary DMC3. So yeah, I've been playing DMC3 and other DMC games on and off from the last several few years at this point, and I was kind of inspired by these several other creators on YouTube over the years covering up on this game, and I think their videos are like much better in conveying how good this game actually is. But whatever, I thought maybe I should say something about this game too. I love this game just as much as any other fan, and so here we are. Anyways, enough of this backstory. and and thanks for sticking with me on this one. Now, now the gameplay. On to the gameplay. Now the gameplay of the DMC3 can be divided into two categories. The first one being the general exploration around and up and down the Demon Tower Temnigru, and the second one being the combat encounters with the several enemy types and bosses throughout the game. Now the exploration in this game is pretty good. The type of exploration that I always enjoy in my games. I just miss Ninja Gaiden sometimes whenever I think about DMC3 or even 4 or DMC1. The first game in the reboot trilogy of the Ninja Gaiden series also had it like the exploration aspects of DMC3. It was done there fast, like Ninja Gaiden. The first game came out in like 2004, I think, and DMC came out in the 2005. Anyways, it was done really well in Ninja Gaiden. I love this stuff, but I don't know. I love a lot of other stuff too, as well. I can't remember right now. Anyway, enough of that. Something like the level design in Deus Ex games, but that's completely different, I think. Anyway, back to the level design of the DMC3. It's just perfect, like I've said before. I just love well-made interconnected places in my video games. You get an interesting place or like setting ahead of you, full of enemies to fight through and items to find. If you go to the extra mile, if you take a closer look at your surroundings, that will help you in your journey to become stronger. You find blue orbs hidden around that will increase your overall health, or you can buy them from a statue vendor you come across in your mission at important points, usually before the boss fights or near the end of the mission, like near the end of the missions before a boss fight, or you can buy them at the start of a mission and upgrade yourself and customize your loadout, which melee weapons or guns you wanna use that synchronizes well with the style of your choice. And you can find health items or other items that replenishes your health and devil trigger bar respectively. They're good to use in middle of a battle that you're struggling with, or in a boss fight that's really kicking you down. Use them if you're about to die in the game and tank your mission rating, or keep fighting the intense fight because enemies eventually drop the health orbs, making your life a little easy. And if you're with low health against a boss, I guess good luck with that, because that's just skills now. Only your skills will save you. If you got the skills, you'll get through that just fine. Or don't really worry, like even if you die, you have the yellow orb or the gold orb in the special edition of this game. Yeah. Yes, I don't know why it's like yellow or gold. They're basically like the same color. It's just dumb, I think. Anyways, they work a little differently in regards to how the continues work in the game once it's game over. In the original release of the game, you only had the yellow orb, which you can use upon dying to revive yourself in the previous room. Kinda like a checkpoint in the modern game, but it does punish you with your mission rating, giving you one more chance to fight the boss without replaying the whole mission. Also, the boss health bar is full now. Like again, you have to like fight with it again to drop itself. And good luck. Now the only difference with the gold orb and the yellow orb is that with the gold orb, you can restart at the same spot at which you fall down, at which you fall over, making you get up and get right back into the action, fighting with the boss health fighting with the boss health bar as empty as much you have been able to do it before dying. It also punishes you and lowers your mission rating at the end, just like the yellow orb. Using any item that helps you in your fights penalizes you, so use them wisely and cautiously. You can find extra red orbs in a bunch at secret places. If you just stand there, you just won't see that it's there, but they'll just pop up out of nowhere. So keep an eye out for them. Now you can interact with something a little interesting looking or different looking in the environment, and it'll take you to a secret mission that you can complete to get a blue orb fragment. Completing 4 of the secret mission, but you'll only get a fragment, not like a full blue orb. Completing 4 of the secret missions will give you 4 fragments, making a full blue orb, increasing your overall health. And you can come it's really like I would advise you to make a full blue orb only when you have low health, as it will increase your overall health and will give your health back as well. And you can come and it will help you in the encounters, in the combat encounters. You can come across the style statues. Now you have to you can also come across like the style statues throughout the game. Now you have to really style on them to break them once again to just get a blue orb. I'm sure the first one of these is probably like the toughest boss for some people. I have much respect for those who did it in the early game on their first playthrough, like without upgrading the rebellion sword that much. And you get the key story items and search around the tower to where to put them, and you put them in their place in an indentation to open a gate or something. And see, that's what I'm talking about. Like going around searching and looking at places is what makes these light Metroidvania like level designs like really good for searching and looking at places. Is what makes like really good. Plus you get the ambient tracks of wind flowing, like wind flowing sounds in the background to really build a thick mood, or whatever else the developer is aiming for you to feel in these areas. These I just don't think get much appreciation in the games now at all. I think you'd be mistaken to think that uh, some triple A games like I don't know, the 2018 God of War reboot, soft reboot, is implementing the same kind of level design to itself, but that's not really it. It doesn't feel like those you know, it doesn't feel like those old character action games, because most of it is so formulaic. Whenever you enter a new zone or place or whatever, you just know you gotta talk to some like NPCs or vendors, like in God of War, like Brock or Sindri, to get your quests. It doesn't happen like that in like the current, in those old character action games. You talk to Brock or Sindri to get quests. A place has a specific place has a specific amount of quests, and when you're done with that zone, then that's it. That place is basically empty. You have nothing there to like as a secret to search for or find out. Complete that place is just completed with the 100% completion mark on your map or something. Don't get me wrong, and enjoy what they've done there. Recent God of War games are basically the games that have done this kind of thing well in them. But it's like still pretty different, like when you enter a place in DMC 3, or when compared with Ninja Gaiden. It's like you have fully mapped out the place, and you think you know everything. You have seen everything here. You've been playing it for years, and but you'll still find something that you haven't seen before. It happens with me sometimes, and it blows my mind. Also, it's a completely different thing to what I'm saying here. I'm sure many of you probably don't know about it, but when you play DMC 3 actually on the OG PS2, like the OG game, or maybe the special edition on the original hardware on the PS2, and when the game is loading, you can press buttons and you can slash and shoot the loading text graphic. Like I don't know, that's just insane. That's probably like something new even to you guys who have been playing, who are probably like playing the re-release version of DMC3. in the HD collection for the PS3 and the PS4 generation of consoles, or on the Switch, like it's the best version of the game, locked only to a Nintendo console. But we'll get to that in some point. And don't feel bad, as playing DMC3 on anything else is still a crazy good time. And see, but that's what these games need to have in terms of environment. A good moody or an atmospheric place with recognizable identity with secrets hidden all the way across for you to find out. Without any indicators telling you what you have found or not. And that's what makes these games, or make these places last long in your memories. It's like Temenigru or like it's like Temenigru and Tyrone are like my home at this point. Okay, enough about the exploration part of the gameplay and what makes it compelling. I've really dragged this on and on, but this is my first time doing it, so like I'm sorry guys, I'm learning and I'll make better probably the next time. And I'm sorry, I really wanted to, but I'm sorry, like I just really wanted to mention everything I can. How the way I feel about this game, however, the way I feel about this game, because I love this game. I want to talk about everything. Now, before talking about the combat, I'd like to talk about the difficulties for a bit. The game starts with the normal difficulty and you'll unlock the easy difficulty if you'll die too much, about 3 times in total during a mission. I recorded this video on footage on like normal, hard, very hard, and Dante must die difficulty. You get the normal gist with these difficulties. The higher the difficulty, the higher the enemy's health and lower the player's health. Plus they learn a lot of new attacks, like not new attacks particularly in this game, but like they're much more relentless. They attacks again and again very quickly. Now I've played too much of this game before, so normal and hard difficulties were kinda easy for me. The game shows a bit of challenge for me in the very hard, and it's just straight up brutal on the Dante must die on the DMD difficulty, the infamous difficulty of the DMC series. Now the enemies in the DMD are like pretty tough and have lots of health, and there's an increased amount of enemies like around for you to fight in this difficulty, and it can take too long to finish them off, but you can make short work of them with some moves. And like the best move, probably the best hack, I guess, the DT explosion, the devil trigger explosion. You upgrade your devil trigger bar from the statue vendor and charge up your devil trigger bar in the background while you fight the enemies or a boss to do massive damage to almost of the enemies around you, instantly killing them and taking a big chunk off from the health bar if you do it in a boss fight. And it's actually pretty neat. I think that mechanic is really good. I've done it a few times here in the video. Now some might say it's basically abusing the game as it quickly deletes the enemies and give a big boost to your style meter, just a straight up triple S, but I think it's well balanced. As your devil trigger bar doesn't really fill itself over time, but you have to fight enemies or whenever you take the damage, you get your devil trigger back to have a chance at fighting better with your devil trigger this time and less health. It only fills up when you do those things, or when you taunt enemies amidst the action. It fills up a lot quicker, a bit faster when you taunt enemies from time to time. I think it's necessary for the survival on the DMD difficulty, as the enemies do a lot of damage and takes a lot of hits to go down, but with the devil trigger explosion they're just gone in a second, leaving with just one stronger enemy in a bluish purple aura, which means now like the enemy is in the devil trigger state now, just like you. They attack more frequently and does a lot more damage when they are in this state, and whenever they hit you, and they take too many hits to it takes too many hits to even stun them, let alone damage them. Every enemy and boss in DMD will go into the devil trigger state if you take too long to take them down, so it's wise So my advice is to quickly get them by just being too good at the game or just by using the double trigger explosion. And I have used that a lot in here, as you're probably seeing it here. Like it's also good to it's also good to keep your combo going. Like when enemy is about to hit you, you just do your double trigger explosion and finish the enemies who were about to hit you, and keep your combo going on the enemy with the double trigger state, like the last enemy with much more health bar, tanky enemy. Even if it doesn't kill the enemies, it will stun and damage any enemies who was about to hit you, and helps you keep doing your dance macabre move on them without any interruption in the combat. Now, finally, on to the combat side of things, the real deal of any DMC game. The things that matters the most in DMC game. Now, this is the most fun part of the game, besides the story, like characters and soundtrack and everything else. Yes, every ingredient in this game is just really good, and you can probably see I love this game, and basically every other person who has played it is probably loves this game. So first of all, I gotta clear this out. It's in the setting of this game. I talked about it before. I think now that now that I'm remembering it. Anyways, I'm talking about the turbo mode. Turbo mode. I would suggest you to play the game on its normal speed first, and once you've seen the whole like how the whole game works and the enemy patterns and attacks and how they attack you, after your first playthrough or the second initial playthrough, you can turn it on like the turbo mode and feel the difference and enjoy the game at the million times its on speed. It's basically a 20% increase, and it feels pretty good. I just struggle to use the million stabs move with the rebellion sword with the turbo mode on. I can do it whenever the turbo mode is on. Other than that, it's good, and I really like this like mode additional option in the game. It just makes everything a little bit even more crazier. Yes, this game is like on the crazy overload. Okay, I'ma say it right here, and I'll say it right here, and you'll not believe me for this. But this game is renowned for being such a crazy, such a crushing experience. And believe me, it is difficult. It is very difficult and very crushing. But it's not really that hard. It's not even hard. It's kinda easy. Like once you find about some things about this game, it's kinda really easy. I'll let you know in on a secret right now for the new players that will help you to get through this game very easily. So like, you ready to hear it? It's actually very easy. Yeah, okay, so here it comes. You're seeing it happening here all the time, and it's just simple. It's just that just jump. You just have to jump. Yes, like you heard it right. Just jump. Now what does it mean? What do I mean, like really mean by just jump? It's just that whenever you just jump, whenever an enemy is about to attack you, when it's just about to hit you, just press the jump button and simply just jump, and that's it. That solves most of your problem in this game. And now let me make some sense to you guys, like why I've been jumping around so much here. Well, because jumping here in DMC games just simply cancels your attack animation and gives you invincibility frames, and thus making you completely phase through the enemy attacks, and that's basically it. That's you're safe now. Now don't feel too good at the game. You still have to learn all the enemy attacks and their patterns to jump at the right time. And yeah, that's it. That's how you beat DMC3. It can be a big help in the game. And okay, now with that little tip out of the way, you're good to fight for your life in this game. You can also control the camera sometimes, or just stand at a place, or stand at a place where there aren't much enemies around, because enemies that are off screen doesn't really attack you like at all. Only the danger comes from the on-screen enemies or the bosses. It doesn't matter whether they are on whether they are on screen or off screen. I can't remember that point well about the bosses, like if they're on screen or off screen. Bosses just attack you from anywhere, I think. Now, playing with this in mind, it really helps with the difficulties in this game. Just vary your attacks a bit, and you're basically a DMC god. Now on to the actual combat. Okay, so you have 4 different styles in the game, drastically affecting how you perform in the combat. And what you can do there with the enemies. I'm sorry for the cough, guys. I'm a little. I'm not doing bad with my health right now. I'm just alright. What you can do with the enemies. Anyway, back to the enemies. And 2 more styles that you'll unlock by progressing further in the game, giving you even more creative and variety of ways to finish off your enemies. Okay, first of all, you have the trickster style. In simple words, it helps you to dodge by dashing away. Like just dash away just in the last moment when an attack's about to hit you, and you get invincibility frames. Playing more and more with the style further down the line upgrades you with a particular style. Continue to play with the trickster style and continue to play with the trickster style, and with the level 2 trickster you can dodge 2 more times and dodge in the air. With level 2 trickster, it's easy to abuse the invincibility frames and never get, like, really never get hit. Like when an enemy is doing I don't know, continuous wave attacks at you, you just dodge their first like wave, or I don't know, incoming lightning, or any other type of attack just when it's about to hit you. And remember, you can dodge 2 times back to back with the level 2 trickster. So just when the next instant wave or attack is coming at you, no matter the type of attack, just get out of its way with the second dodge, or and just when the third attack is coming at you, you can just jump, or you can just jump from the start. Don't even use like the trickster or the dodge. You can see how much options you have just for like avoiding with just a level 2 trickster, and that's this whole game. You get tons of options regarding everything you're doing in the combat. Now most of the people might think that jumping kind of makes the trickster style pointless, but that's not really the thing. Because with the level 3 trickster, you can just teleport to the enemies from some distance away, and that allows you to do so many things with the game that you have no idea until you have played it for yourself. The possibilities are endless, and that's just one style now. Combining that with all the weapons, and it's just maddening, absolute pure chaos. Now trickster is the first style that you get by default, without customizing in the mission startup screen on your first mission, and it's pretty good for the new players. I suggest new players to play with it and just learn attacks and how to avoid them at first, enemy attacks. The combat is so good that you just want to replay on the further difficulties and try different styles to see what kind of crazy stuff you can do in this game. And then there's the sword master style, my favorite, or like the second favorite style. I can't really choose between this and the one other style, which we'll get to in time and talk about it. Anyway, the sword master style lets you do even more combos with your devil arm weapons, with your melee weapons. Now this style is really crazy. There are some directional and mash button combos you can perform with it, and they're all awesome. You can perform few more attacks with it in the air after launching an enemy in an air, or more than one enemy in the air. It looks cool. And pressing the style button, you can throw away your rebellion sword at enemies and attack with some other weapon, or normal attack button combo, or like the sword master button style button combo. For big damage, you can use the Beowulf Devil Arm weapon, and using it with the Sword Master style, it's just devastating. The punch and kick attack weapon. I think using Beowulf with the Sword Master style just to perform the real impact move and the other Sword Master moves does the most damage in this game, just with a single move. But look out for yourself, as with the real impact, Dante holds his hands backward
like one of his hands backward, like right hand, it's probably in the right hand, and takes a moment to hit. If Dante misses during that time, he just stays in a pose for some time, free to be attacked by the enemies. But don't really worry, as you can just roll sideways or jump to like avoid the attacks. I don't think that you can jump when you miss to hit with the real impact. I'm remembering this just now. Uh, you'll learn these small things. I can't remember it very well though. You'll learn these small things whenever you play it for yourself, and see what you should or shouldn't do. And see, I mentioned sideway dodge roll. I mentioned the sideway dodge roll. Yeah, one more thing to avoid your attacks with. You got like options, dude. Nothing but crazy amount of options to do things. Anyway, for me, my favorite attacks with the Swordmaster style include the Dance Macabre move with the Rebellion, like with the level 3 Swordmaster, where Dante goes completely mad and does rapid attacks one after the other, ending with swinging around using his own sword like a pole. Yes, he just has very strong hands. Yes, I'm referring to that like virgin confrontation scene at top the tower, like mission 7, I guess. And the other attacks include one from Agni and Rudra, that whirlwind attack, and the Beowulf's real impact that I talked about before, and the aerial attack with the Agni and Rudra. And now on to the gunslinger style. Now this is the other style that I'm confused about, like whether about if it's my favorite or is it the swordmaster style that's my favorite. It's probably the swordmaster, as gunslinger doesn't do much damage and doesn't have a lot of move that you can do with it, but still pretty good just because of the rainstorm that you can perform with your guns, ebony and ivory, your regular guns. The rainstorm just flows so well with the other combos that you're doing. It feels really, really good. Even if it doesn't do much damage at all or doesn't really increase the style meter that much either, but it feels really good, and that's why I really love it. Some of the other stuff that you could do with the spiral also feels really good with the gunslinger. The anti-material rifle that you just find by just roaming around. You find it just laying on the ground. And also I really hate it by not being able to perform the gun stinger with the ebony and ivory. I tried so much to do that move with like those two guns, only to find out recently that you do it with your shotgun and not your regular guns. I'll probably do it now whenever I play the game the next time, now that I know it, using my shotty to perform the gun stinger a lot. Also, I never really used the grapple move with the Kalina and rocket launcher. I mean, I always knew it was there. I just had a faint memory of it in my mind, but I never really used it. But the few times I did use it here makes me think I could think that I could really do some like really intense combos with it. Like you can use the grapple move, your chain grapple move, or like your rope to pull the enemies in to attack them. So yeah, gunslinger time from now on, cause I think I can do a lot of stuff whenever with it whenever I'll eventually play this game again. I've done enough with the sword master, and now the final style. And now onto the final style, Royal Guard. Final conventional proper style. Don't forget there are two more extra styles as well. Now with the Royal Guard you can block. It's the like the parry style. It's the parry style. Somehow it's both defensive and offensive at the same time. With this style you can really you really have to learn attacks and moves of the enemies, and you can pretty much like just block and parry most of the attacks in the game. There's just one or two attacks in the game that you can block with it, like I can't remember it well, but if I really force my mind, I'm sure you can block like everything. So what do you do with just blocking? Like don't just stop the enemy's attack with it, you also kind of stuns them for a second. And not just that, you also charge up your royal guard meter, and your style meter also gets like a really good boost with the like a proper block with the royal guard. The more you block, the more you fill up that royal guard meter up, and the more damage you can do to the enemies when you release it with the royal guard release. Charged up royal guard does a lot more damage. I haven't shown it in here in the I haven't shown it here as much, like really at all. As with the royal guard, I just have to really sit down and really practice with it a lot for me to get the most out of this style. Just like every other style, you just have to learn a lot with this style in particular. Like then there's just the royal guard release thing, when an enemy is about to land an attack at you, you just block and release at the same time by holding the left stick forward while being locked onto the enemy, just as it's about to hit you, and that's insane. I've never seen like these videos, but I'm pretty sure like there are like many speedruns of videos of DMC3 with just the royal guard like completely destroying the enemies. And it's not, and still not over yet, as there's one more thing with the royal guard that you can do, and it's the royal guard ultimate. I don't even know what it is. Like I just have a faint memory of me seeing it as a kid on YouTube on a very bad quality video with a very shitty internet, because back then connections weren't really good here, strong. I just saw it now while making the video, and it's like a yellow gold shield around Dante or something like that. like like it's just much more mechanics to engage yourself with, like one more mechanic that I don't even know what it is properly. I guess this one's for those insane frantic gamers out there. Yeah, royal guard is for you guys. Royal guard style is definitely for you guys. Now the weapons in this game are just fun to use. Your devil arms include 5 very different melee weapons from each other. You can switch instantly while doing a combo. Instantly switching weapon, like change the weapon mid combos, giving you endless possibilities to create crazy combos you want. Your own imagination is your limit, but you can but there's just one criticism, like you can only change between 2 of them at once. You can equip only like 2 at a time unless you have the switch version. The first which we'll talk to, we'll get to the switch version in some time. The first weapon you have in this game is the iconic Rebellion, Dante's own sword, passed down to him by the legendary demon Dark Knight Sparda. Your standard base sword in weapon in this game, reasonably good for every situation. It has some combos, post combos. You can control crowd with it. You can juggle enemies in the air by launching them up and attacking them in the air with the sword master style, or something like using that spinning saw move on the ground with sword master style, and simply pressing the style button and then knocking them down, and then using the Beowulf's real impact as they're getting up just to delete them. I do that a lot in DMC4. One thing I like doing is in DMC3 in particular is like throwing your sword away at enemies and attack a different enemy with some other weapon, as that thrown rebellion is like doing damage to that enemy that it is thrown at. It increases the style meter very very quickly. You'll probably use the rebellion with every other weapon every single time. It'll always be in your loadout. You'll only stop using it once you play too much of this game. You'll think, yeah, I'm too much good at this game. I'm too much good at this. Let's use some like weird weapon or like weird loadout to make weird combos. It, it's just like rebellion is a very good base weapon. Now the second devil arm weapon is your ice nunchucks. So for me, I'm like a very like a very big Bruce Lee fan, and using him nunchucks feels so cool. So they have probably taken inspiration from like Bruce Lee. So for me, one of the biggest fun things about like playing through the DMC games, and DMC 3 in particular, is getting a new weapon and then testing it out and how it works and all the mechanics it has. And just the whole process of getting a new weapon is just very fun. Like first you come across an interesting boss and have some nice entertaining banter with the boss, well written cheeky lines, and then fight for your life in an intense sweat inducing battle, dying again and again, slowly learning its patterns and attacks, and what a unique mechanic that this boss has. Every boss has probably like one mechanic that's different from every other enemy from the game. And finally managing to beat a boss somehow with all of your efforts, and finally getting a fun entertaining cutscene of you ending that boss or earning that boss's respect to gain a new weapon. Then you get one more cool badass scene with the one more cool scene with this newly acquired weapon, basically showing what your new weapon can do in combat. And I love this. The same way you acquire your ice nunchucks, the Cerberus. Sorry for that. Cerberus. It's called Cerberus. You don't even know that you're about to rewarded with this new weapon. So like, I'm sorry for kind of telling it to you, kind of ruining your surprise a little. But it isn't anything big. Like you just fight a boss and you get a new weapon as a cool reward. You fought this doggy boss with all of your struggle and strength to get Cerberus. This weapon is quick to attack with and probably the fastest weapon in the game, and the attacks are very quick. It has pause combos, direction based combos, direction based attacks. It's good to use to quickly boost your style meter for a bit. I like both of the sword master style attacks that you can do with it, like by holding the left stick backwards or and forward with the style button. Like when you hold backward, you perform that like ice globe around you, ice circle sphere around you. I like that move. Also, every boss in this game is weak against some weapon, which I'll discuss which weapon is good for which boss in the further section ahead in the video. So it just feels good to use Cerberus on the bosses that it's effective against. It also sticks ice on some of the enemies that you attack it with, and like the enemies that are weak to it, and it looks really, really good. It's just a good supporting weapon to quickly do some few rapid attacks in a short span and does reasonable enough damage and just move away. All of this in a short time when an attack is just coming. All of this in a short time when an attack is just coming at you. So yeah, a pretty good weapon all around. The next weapon you have is your dual swords, dual fire and water swords. I think it's fire and wind, I guess, not fire and water. Anyway, two very basic dual swords on the surface, but they are unique too in a lot of ways. Like during some of your attacks, these two dudes just speaks. Yeah, these swords speaks. Nothing that will help you in your combat, but it's different and unique too. I noticed them speaking in some of the moves, but I thought it would be nice of them to speak a bit more. And actually, they do speak a lot. I just didn't know there was this one move where they actually yell at each other continuously, or like just they just enjoy that move. Like they continuously yell. I don't know if they yell at each other or not. the million slash move, because I never knew it was in the game and hence I never did it. It just it's just I like the speaking aspect of these two swords. So with Agni and Rudra, you have a simple combo, two pause combos, one button mash combos like the million slash that the one that I never did. See, nothing but new new things for me to find this game after all the time I've been playing it. These two swords are a bit slower in attacking, but they're fun to use. In some of the attacks, they create fire and wind effects, and it looks cool. I have used them enough, but probably the lowest among the other weapons in the game. Also, I feel bad for not knowing about the existence of the million slash move. I'll probably use them a lot whenever I'm playing this game again. Now the next weapon is the literal. It's a literal guitar, and definitely my favorite weapon in the game. I love using the weapon. I love using the Neven. Like you can straight up do jam sessions on the enemies with it. It has direction based move, and also holding the attack buttons summons the bats surrounding you, summons these bats, and they surround you, making it so that enemies can't even touch you. These bats then can hurt enemies too. It can be like very hard to use this weapon, but once you know how to summon bats to cover you up, and when to release the bats and use directional based attacks, I think this will be the best game that you'll have the most fun with to use it against the enemies. Like it's a very unconventional weapon, and others started copying DMC3 to have crazy insane weapons in them just because of this like Neven guitar, I think. And they also copied like the mid weapon switch during the combos. I gotta be honest, like I never used it because of how different it is and from that of a normal weapon, and tried to learn how it works by myself. I just never knew that it has direction based attacks, so I thought it has a very limited move set, but no, like I was just wrong. But then I looked up the internet to see how it really works, and just started using it for this video, and then used it like every time, like most of the time I use Never. So once again, it was very fun for me, a game that I played so much to just find kind of something new in it, and then I just didn't stop using it. It's so good to use on the multiple enemies standing close to each other, and also on the fish enemies like flying around you in the bloody palace. Like just come on, the jam session weapon hits hard, and it's probably the weapon I'm going to use the most, along with the Agni and Rudra, because there are two moves with the Beowulf that I never did in my life. Like these are some of the weapons that I'll probably use the most in my next playthrough whenever I play the game. Like I didn't even know that this one move was in the game, like the tornado one with the Beowulf. I just feel bad for missing out so many things here. Like I really wanted to show everything that this game has. This is probably the weapon that you can do the most with. It has two combo moves, one combo with the mash button sequence, and you can hold the attack button to charge up your attacks to do more damage with every strike. And hence I never did that variant version of that rising dragon move. I never I never knew. I knew the charged up rising dragon was there, but I never really did it. You probably just charge up your attack by holding the left stick back and probably mash it to do the spinning rising dragon move. And one move that I never knew existed in this game is that spinning kick you can do after performing the real impact. Like I don't think even like the most people knew that. They probably knew that. I'm sorry for assuming, make assumption about that. Like what the hell? I thought I knew everything. First of all, most of the enemies just don't even survive the real impact, and that's why I probably never did try to do anything else after it with the style button when you're in the air. I guess you probably mash the style button to do that spinning kick in the air. Yeah, I just found out about while looking up a video, it would be like very cool to do it to the enemies in the Devil Trigger state. Like see this game just like keeps on giving more and more. My mind is just blown at this point. Even I'm finding new things again and again. Also, I love its homing attack that you can do by pressing the attack button in the air. It's so useful and feels really good to do in the enemies, as if you're about to bring the pain from the sky, like straight from the above the clouds, from the heaven. When someone down there is just done doing their attack, you just press the attack button and you just land on the enemy's heads. Anyway, it's the most powerful weapon in the game, doing the most damage in like every single hit. Probably the one with the most moves. I'll be using it most from now on, along with the Agni and Rudra. And now onto the guns. Now we have Dante's favorites that he uses in every game: regular guns, pistols, ebony and ivory, which you can shoot to juggle enemies in the air or doing some little damage when the boss and your own health is very low and you don't wanna get close to avoid the hits and get a game over. You can charge up shots too by holding the shoot button while doing combos. It's good to change the shoot button to one of the triggers on your controller, or use the bumper buttons. I've done that in DMC 4 and 5, but not here. I'm sure it looks cool, and also it probably does a lot more damage, just like in DMC 4 and 5. Like whenever you hold these buttons, it does a significant damage, especially with Nero. Then when compared with your regular shots, I just love doing the rainstorm move with these two guns with the gunslinger style equipped, and you can also shoot in different direction with each gun when an enemy is about to attack you from the behind, and you're shooting ahead and also shoots back just in time with your other hand to prevent that enemy from hitting you. Unless you're really good with the gunslinger style or going specifically to do cool things while in the Devil Trigger state, guns have a very specific uses, but they don't do that much damage or help you raise your style meter that much. Just use guns. Just use guns, not that much. Like they're more like flavor instead of just using them as a proper weapons to do damage to the enemies. Use your melee weapons to attack enemies, and you can use guns in between to look cool and basically showing off the I don't know, the brash type of personality of the Dante, of your character, the Dante. Wow, I'm just getting dumb. That you're playing now. Now the second gun you have is your shotgun, Coyote A. That's its name. I remember that name. I guess it's just a very good weapon to knock down enemies on lower difficulties or knock them sometimes. It knocks them down on even on higher difficulties, but only sometimes. It just doesn't do much to enemies in the Devil Trigger state, but if we have something else for that, when the enemies are like ganging up on you, you can press the style button when equipped with the gunslinger style to knock back everyone around you. And oh man, I just wish I knew that you can do the gunslinger move with the shotgun and not with the ebony and ivory. Now the next gun is the Artemis. It's a demon world gun. It's a demon gun. And I gotta be honest, I never used it. I used it once as a kid, and saw it was just too slow and to shoot, and used your own Devil Trigger bar to even shoot. So I just gave up on it completely. I might be remembering it wrong about it using just your own Devil Trigger bar to even shoot the normal shots. So sorry, please, sorry for that if I'm wrong about that.
But now that I'm seeing some footage on my phone, while I was writing the script down, and it looks like it has some nice things you can do with it. I think it might be really cool to use with the gunslinger style. So here's my like new loadout for the next playthrough. I'll use the Beowulf with the Agni and Rudra with Artemis and some other gun, alternating with the Sword Master style and the Gunslinger style. And you can do like that rain, acid rain with your Artemis. I think that looks also cool. I haven't done it myself, but it looks cool. It looked cool in the video. Wouldn't it be nice if you could like use all the styles and weapons like all at once? I think that'd be pretty cool. So you just don't have to like alternate between the styles, and you can just use all of them like at once, all the weapons and guns. Then it's probably really good. We'll get to that in some time. Now the spiral, the anti-material rifle, or the sniper, or whatever this long ball of a gun is. I really like this gun. Sometimes it does a lot of damage. I think it stuns most of the enemies with the gunslinger style. I don't know. It just feels good to shoot a high caliber shot out of nowhere in between of a combo. I kind of even use it in some instances just to sit back and shoot at bosses far from behind without getting close, just because my health was very low and getting close probably would have meant like it's game over. Also with the gunslinger style, it feels like your shots are like ricocheting, even though it's just bouncing off from an enemy and just hitting that same enemy again. Also when you shoot up in the air, it feels like you don't even have to look where you're shooting, but but that's like really wrong, but it'll just hit the enemy anyway, because like it looks cool, because later you'll realize like you're actually that the enemy that you're logged onto, it'll probably hit that, and not like you hit that enemy and not any other enemy in a completely different direction. Anyway, the power of the shot feels really good whenever you shoot it. It just feels very satisfying. It has a good feedback. I like it a lot. I like the power now that this gun has. Now the last and probably my favorite gun is the rocket launcher, the Kalina N. Now why it's the best and why I love it. It's simple. It's just simple. Whenever enemies are about to gang up on you and hit on you, just shoot this like big rocket at them, and it sends them flying away. All of them, just all of them. Even on the harder difficulties, including the DMD, it's a blast for the enemies. Even the enemies in their devil trigger state gets knocked down with this rocket. So yeah, a very helpful weapon for the DMD difficulty. Also, it has some nice flair to it with the regular gunslinger style. You can shoot multiple rockets. They don't do much damage, and it isn't very useful, but it's cool. It looks cool, I guess. It looks really good in DMC5. Let's just say that. Now the grapple is pretty good. I didn't use it enough, but I think it can be really good for the crowd control, I guess. Like pull an enemy away from you towards you, and now hit two enemies with your melee weapon, or just shoot a rocket at their faces. And now that we are done with the guns and the whole arsenal of Dante, now we'll look at the enemies we deal with using these crazy weapons. The enemies I think in this game are just perfect, very good. Okay, they might be perfect, but they might not be perfect, but they're pretty good, I think, to bash down. At least they're not like the enemies in DMC4. The only enemies that I don't really like are those flying fishes and the angel enemies, which we'll talk about in some time. I don't even have a problem with the flying Beyblade enemies. Yes, I don't really have problem with the flying Beyblade enemies, or wherever they are they take like 2 hits to go down, so they don't affect me that much. You get the Grim Reaper lookalike enemies in this game for you to do all kinds of combos with. You can juggle them in the air, just go completely crazy on them. All the variant versions have different things about them that distinguishes each of them from one another. Just watch out for the ones with the lava bubble heads. Don't shoot them accidentally, like whenever they are near you. You got some who can teleport around you and hit you. You got some like who can throw a gust of wind at you, or some sand. I don't really know what it is, or just dust, I guess. You got the weakest ones gathering right up on you, attacking you non-stop at you on the DMD difficulty. You got the red ones who bounces around a lot and makes a distinct sound whenever they are about to attack. It's very satisfying to do something about it. It's just because an enemy is coming at you, and you guessed it just with based on the sound. You can also go in the position in a room where the most enemies are off screen, and you can control the camera during the combat and use that to keep off the enemies off screen and away from you. You have the red white looking cat enemies with sights. They probably don't look like cats, but they're definitely red and white. They're much tougher and have a lot of attacks, and can phase through ground and teleport behind you. Cerberus is a very effective weapon against them and can freeze them. They're fun to fight with when you have a proper sorry for that. They're fun to fight with. Then you have proper Grim Reaper, like one of those little mini Grim Reapers that I just talked about. You like. So yeah, what I was talking about, the real Grim Reaper. Yeah, you first fight that enemy as a boss, then it becomes a normal enemy, coming along with the other enemies, and sometimes appearing two at a time. You have gross looking I don't know. You have gross looking, I don't know, a demonic grass enemies with eyes on them shooting demonic balls at you. Dealing with them on the lower difficulty isn't that bad, but just be cautious about dodging their arrows from time to time. But on DMD, they shoot arrows at you back to back like crazy and can easily take you down if you don't take them down like right at the start of a battle, or even if a fraction of a second late to dodge these arrows, because I think in DMD their speed of these arrows is like very fast, or if you jump you'll probably avoid the first wave of these arrows, because I think in the D but the second wave will probably hit you in the air. Unless you really have like good with the timing your second jump against that in the air. Don't let them get in the DT state, otherwise those arrows will infuriate you and make you rage quit and will probably kill you. You have gargoyle looking bird enemies. Try to avoid using melee weapons on them, as they just multiply whenever you hit them with the regular state. In their regular state, just shoot and freeze them first and then attack them. Just jump or dodge rolls whenever they make a sound. It means they're about to fly at you. This game has a nice sound clues about the danger of the incoming attacks. The best weapon to use against them is their rocket launcher and Neven. Most of the time these enemies are close to each other, so just shoot them at once with the rocket at them, and then melee them with the Neven. Neven is also good, is like really good to freeze them with all the bats that it can summon, and the area of effect attacks that it has. You have creepy unsettling spiders that will probably spook someone who doesn't play games. Like they grossed out some kids that I was showing this game to the kids. After I showed them how cool the DMC 5, and I later showed them DMC 3, where it all started, and they got spooked by the spider. They got really spooked by the spiders, but they also really like Dante, so it was like balanced. These are really good enemies. I think they got a bunch of different attacks they can do on you, and they're very quick to do it. You can even juggle them in the air sometimes when you stagger them a little with your attacks.
You get more tougher green looking bigger variation of them with different attacks than the usual normal spiders. Using nunchuck on these spiders is good for a quick barrage of attacks. Using Agni and Rudra is also good against them. Spiders are weak to those elements. I think they die very quickly to them. But given how quick and frantic these spiders are, and how much they bounce around the fighting arena, and how slow and Agni and Rudra attacks are, I think Cerberus is a good weapon to use against them. There's the flying Beyblade enemies, and not even like flying or hover above in there. They do a very slow attack against you. Now this is a very bad enemy design, as you can't really attack them from the front. You have to jump over them and attack them from behind on their weak spot. Now I don't have much problem with them, as they don't take much effort to go down. Given how annoying they can be, you just like they can be annoying though. You just have to jump over them, and it takes about like 4 hits to finish them off. Or if you're using the Beowulf, then just use its homing attack on them from behind. It takes about 2 kicks and they're done. Plus they drop health, so if you're low on health, then they actually can be really helpful. Then there are flying invisible fishes. They stay invisible most of the time and become visible and vulnerable for a short period of time. Quickly hit them with your shorty. It's a bad enemy design, and the one that actually bothers me quite a lot. Because you can style on them because they are invisible and your attacks just race through them. Like in an action game, you want enemies that you can combo on them, but these just annoy you and will definitely interrupt your combo that you're doing on other enemies. They can just straight up grab you or stop you and deplete your Devil Trigger gauge. They can be really painful when paired with other enemies, like in Bloody Palace. When you get them with other tougher enemies, then it just becomes annoying and even very hard to take them down. If you're grabbed by them and have enough Devil Trigger to transform to your devil form, then just quickly use it to become free of them. You can be free from any grab from any enemy boss as long as you have enough Devil Trigger to transform. It can really save you. If you're near them, just use the shotgun. Can take them down in just like one hit, or just blast them with the Kalina, and that's much more easier. The best weapon against them. And the one more enemy type that I can stand in this game is these flying angel looking creatures. They're just painful and annoying to deal with. They really make my blood boil. They float around and thus their stupid strange attacks that you think won't hit you but somehow just hits you. First you have to hit them to break their shield, and thus just wish they're not floating behind a wall while their shield is down. And if you're lucky enough that they're just floating in the playable area, and then attack them as much as you can to finish them before their shield regenerates. And you have to repeat this whole process. Like just having the idea of styling on this enemy is just like infuriates me. Just give up on the style for the time being when they're around, and quickly focus on finishing them so you can move on to the good things in this game. Best weapon to use against them is the Beowulf and its homing kick attack. Just turn off your brain and press the attack button in the air. Beowulf is a very powerful weapon, and it quickly finishes their stupid shield and them. And lastly, you have the chessboard and the chess pieces. I think they're alright, kinda good. You can just juggle them in the air, but that's about it. But they're always always standing in the bunch near each other. So whenever you attack them, a single strike hits 2 or 3 or 4 of them at once, and it feels good. Whenever you attack multiple enemies at once with just one hit, it gives massive raise to your style meter. So styling on them is pretty easy. So watch out for their weird attacks. I know how to play chess, but I can't remember the name of each of the member, but they most likely work like that. You got the basic stone soldiers. They definitely feel like they're not getting affected by your attacks, but just keep bludgeoning them and they'll eventually break.
Like they're not getting affected by your, they'll eventually break down. You got your horse counterpart of the chess game here. They unnaturally move their necks to hit you and jump around, looking stressed up like an actual horse. You get an absolute wall or like a castle stone piece, I guess, just shooting laser out of itself with much more health than the other chess pieces. You got the wizard stone, which shoots fireballs and can heal every other stone piece within the range, within the range of its healing aura. They're not much of a threat in the game until much later. It also feels really good to charge up your devil trigger bar and blast them with the DT explosion. Towards the near end of the game, you get the whole chess board, including the king and the queen. All of them combined together. This part can be painful, but if you know how all of them works, then it's kind of challenging then and really fun, I think, personally. Just blast the basing stone soldier with your devil trigger explosion. Also take down the queen as quickly as possible. To make your life easy, just use the devil trigger explosion on her too to quickly finish her. Then the whole chessboard is actually quite easy and just not as chaotic as it is with the queen and the rest of it. Yes. Alright, I'd even say it's easy. Now we'll talk about the greater demons and some other like characters posing as big bad boss fights, challenging in one-on-one intense duels, or a duel, I guess, like where you find two enemies at once, like three your three people fighting all of each other like at once. In case like Agni and Rudra, yeah, that's the word of the day for me there. Like it's just like the duel, but three opponents fight each other. But here it's just not that. It's just one versus two duel. I'll talk about some minor spoilers for now while talking about these bosses. Nothing that big that will ruin the story, but I think these are other interactions that you should know about by yourself and see these amazing scenes for yourself and not hear anything about them here. So yeah, spoiler warning, guys. The spoiler warning. This is the spoiler part now. So I think yeah, DMC3 has a very solid lineup of bosses. I don't even have any problem against the Gigapede or the Leviathan's heart or the kidney or whatever those things are, and just I just simply don't like the lady boss fight along with the copycat boss fight like your doppelganger, and really despise the Arkham boss fight towards the end. And that's like the three bad fights in the game full of good challenging boss fights. So the first boss in the game is mainly the Grim Reaper guy. Just the appearance of this guy sets the tone of the game perfectly. If the intro cutscene of the game shows Dante's style and antics, well, the choreographed actions that you will see throughout the game, then one look at this enemy and the dark drab lightning things, and Dante really lights up things up with his personality. It can even be like mildly horror like for a kid, and even for some people that will play it for the first time, I think this game will be scary. At least that's what I felt when I first played the game. It's these little touches that make DMC3 a little different even in the series for me. DMC4 is an action game and same for the DMC fight, but the vibes of DMC3 hint a little different, I don't know. Maybe you could say it's the light version of DMC1, I guess in terms of feels and wise, but enough about that. On a mechanical level, it's a simple boss. Kick your butt a lot initially, but when you learn to when to dodge his attacks, it will become a challenge. And one of the mechanics that you learn about this game is the clash mechanic. When you and the enemies attack each other at the same time, your weapons will clash with each other, giving you the feeling of how relentless and non-stop and dedicated you are in the action. And same thing for the enemies, I guess. It can happen about 2 or 3 times at most in one go, and you should probably dodge or jump to avoid getting hit or taking damage. A good hard challenging boss at the start of a game, not really punishing for the new players, but not like overly punishing. Now the second boss, Doggy, like Cerberus, can be an absolute gate wall, giving players an absolute crushing time, preventing them from progressing any further. like he's literally guarding a gate, the entrance to the tower you're looking to enter.
Like I'll be honest, he'll absolutely destroy you, and there'll be a lot of game over for you here in this part. Just like shoot his like ice protection layer, like first of all, covering his head with shorty just before attacking him. Shoot him with the shotgun, but just jump every time he does his bark attack as he hits you with his head, or just make good use of the trickster here. That style can really be helpful here for the new players here. Like he's doable with the trickster. Just time your dodges well. At this point your trickster is at level 1, so you can dodge only once. So dodge his lunges and icicles that he drops on your head. Now the third boss is the Gigapede. Most of the people think that it's a bad boss battle, but I don't think so. Just look at the creature design. Just give them credits for that at least. Just a disgusting flying centipede. They nailed that look, I think. And if you have any problem with the boss, it's like it's over as soon as it starts. I quickly finished him without any devil trigger explosion. Like imagine how fast it would be to finish the game, to finish this giant insect once you charge up your devil trigger bar and constantly attack him with Cerberus. I think he's weak to the ice nunchucks. I finished him as quickly as like 30 or 40 seconds at most. 30 or 40 seconds, like that's very short. Also in one of my footages, I think I kinda deflected his purple energy balls with the Cerberus attacks with the Cerberus, and it made a clang sound. It wasn't like a normal glass, it was more of a twang sound. Can someone like tell me what happened there? I don't know what really happened there. Also for the new players, just jump on its back as it's coming out one of its holes, and learn the point where he enters and exits, and just attack him with the Cerberus. It's already over before you know it. It's already over before it can even bother you. So not a bad boss design, I think. I'm just not affected by it that much. Spending half a minute on it isn't a bad thing for me. Like now the next battle is with the Agni and Rudra, one of my favorite boss fights. Yeah, you know the game is tough as nails. And is always beating you down, and then it gives you two bosses at once with its own move set, giving the boss an entirely new attack move in the second phase. Yeah, this right here is the on-scene and small, even before the actual on-scene and small. Yeah, usually you think the boss fights as single one-on-one intense fights, deciding who's tough enough, who's the real boss in these games battles, but I think that Dark Souls popularized the multiple bosses at once, but it was DMC3 all along that did it first. Yeah, I know there are probably some games where you attack or fight multiple bosses at once, like even in Ninja Gaiden. Games like Ninja Gaiden, I think there are multiple worms that you fight at once, but I think you fight two or three of them at once only in the Sigma version of the game. Plus it's something as lame as the worm. But here in DMC3, it's noticeable. These two have an identity. That those worms simply don't have in Ninja Gaiden. Anyway, enough about that. You can lower the health of one of them and the other at the same time, and take them down one, and right after that takedown the other as well. You can totally avoid where one of them you can totally avoid that phase where one of them starts to use both Agni and Rudra wind and fire attacks at you. And what else is there? You can lure each of them to hit one another and make them drop their swords, so you can attack them for a massive damage while they're down. See, this is the fight that I think will decide what will happen between you and this game. It will really test you, and if you can get through this one, then you will get through other bosses no matter how hard of a challenge they all pose. Yes, including the Virgil fights. If you can fight these two, then you are basically prepared for whatever crazy or unfair thing that this game will throw at you. Now the next boss fight is Leviathan. I don't really have much of a problem with the Leviathan, as it's not really bad boss fight for me either. Like it doesn't, it's like take it as a little challenge or side mission. Like you have to attack these other normal enemies and attack these walls while attacking these normal little enemies on the ground, and you deal with all of them. You attack these two walls and open up the main leviathan heart to attack it. I don't think it's bad, as it takes time, but it doesn't, it's not unbearable. Now next up on the list is Nevan, a very sultry demon doing all kinds of taunts at you. I just love the taunts that these bosses have. It's not like the other games where they have like a straight up dialogue playing out throughout the fight to taunt you. Now these are just straight up taunts. They make these taunts again and again when attacking you, and Neven does that a lot. Now this is a great boss fight. She does a lot of attacks. She's like weak against like your nunchucks, like as you can see Cerberus, and you can use your Kalina and to really destroy her bats and really increase your style meter all at once. And just dodge all her attacks, like all of her attacks. She can be tough, but if you, it's an intense battle. That's what I'll say. I'll go through these other battles really quickly, like because this here is a lot of I've written here, but I'll go through these very quickly. Now we move on to the next boss in the game, Beowulf. Another solid boss battle. You dodge his attacks with the trickster and can deflect his own iron pillars back at him with the like throwing your sword, or with or you can dodge his like with the trickster. You just simply use trickster against him. You can simply dodge most of his attacks, and he's very satisfying to fight. One attack that I don't know, like don't know how to dodge is like on the DMD difficulty. He uses his like lasers at you, like white lasers at you, beams, light beams coming at you, and I dodge like, but I can dodge them, but they eventually they just hit me, and it's just I don't really know how to dodge them. Now on to the who's next after the like View. Now the Jester. I don't think like people have much good opinions about Jester either, but I don't really hate him. Like I kind of enjoy his character in the story too, but his boss fights I think are good. You have to move, you have to dodge his projectiles even in the all the three times that you fought him throughout the game, and you dodge his like projectiles coming at you and simply attack him. And in one of the instance I actually used the spiral because he really throws a lot of shit at you, and I used the spiral, just stayed away from him as much as I can. I enjoy the fight. I don't really have a problem with that fight either. Now the one fight that I don't like is the lady fight. She just manages to hit me with the bullets somehow. His her little bullets. I think I can dodge them with my jump, like jump about to just really move away from her bullets, but she always manages to like blast me with her grenades. And also she's just jumping away as soon as you get close to her. I don't think that's a good boss fight. Plus, you have to fight like Lady. That's like a really good character. I love her. She's like the best character. And now the shittiest character is the it's the like the real Arkham boss fight. He just becomes a blob like his in a shittiest form. I think he's the really good character, very shitty guy with a lot of like he's really bad and evil. So he must have gotten something good, but I think it kind of fits his character too. He's such a shitty person, but he actually becomes a big goo, a pile of shit, like literally a purple pile of shit, and you just defeat him, and it's a very bad boss fight. It's difficult to telegraph his like tell whether he's attacking or not, and then he throws his fishes at you. That's also really bad. I really don't like his fishes. If you don't have like Kalina and then you're kind of screwed. Also, it's just fitting to shoot him with the Kalina and his fishes with the Kalina and rocket. It's just so fitting because Lady gave it to you and you're using that rocket to just kill Arkham. I think that's really fitting. And now the final concentration in the game is suitably the Virgil, the best boss fights in the game. I think his character is scary. I always get scared of him, and you fight him here. So with Virgil, like all three of his boss fights are really engaging. Soundtrack is like on point with these boss fights, and he gains new weapons in each fight and uses like Beowulf in his second fight. All of these are intense, like as you have seen here in the video. And his last boss fight, it's like really tough, probably the hardest boss fight. But once you have learned to use Beowulf on him and just jump, he can be easy. But I think it's probably the hardest boss fight. It took me a long time to like remember his attacks to jump. Then he can become easy. Now on to the final miscellaneous and extra things with DMC3. You get the Virgil campaign. I was fooled by the game thinking that the game has another campaign, but it was just one new cutscene with the Virgil. It was cool to see him anyway. I think it's a pretty dope character, just as on par with the other character action games, but not as complex as Dante. But I'll enjoy him. Just map his like projectiles to the like triggers, upper triggers or like the bumper buttons to really shoot them hard, really hard. And then he can be fun to play with. I'll cover him up further in the where he is best at, like in DMC5. And then we have the Bloody Palace mode. Now I didn't really I beat the Bloody Palace mode with the Sparta outfit that you unlock by completing the game on the Dante Must Die difficulty, and that really makes the Bloody Palace mode really easy, as you're really fast and is doing a lot of damage to everyone. I think I can do a lot. Like now I know so many moves of the like the enemies and everyone. I think I can do I can completely defeat the Bloody Palace with just like the normal Dante. Now I know how to do it. I've done that in DMC4 without using any special costumes, and in DMC5 too. I don't think there are special costumes in DMC5, I guess, or in DMC4 either. But I've done in those games, so I can probably do it in like DMC3 too without any special outfit. I think it can be annoying with all the like flying fishes and the angel enemies. It can be really pretty annoying, but I can do it. And lastly, on to the story of this game. Now, the story of this game, I really like it. I love the story of this game. Now, the main spoilers of this game for like 5 minutes. You start the game, it's so ominous and like just dark with with these sound effects and the songs flowing in the background, and it's just with the Arkham appearing with you, telling you he comes up with showing an invitation, but without really an invitation, and then it shows how cool the Dante really is. And it's just really fun to like watch these story unfold in front of you. You go outside, wears your like coat in the most coolest way imaginable, and see Virgil, calling out Virgil, and Virgil is just up there like really cool on the demon tower waiting for you. And you're just he silences like everyone who's watching him. And then you have the Arkham in the background. You're like, he looks very creepy, what's his deal? And you'll find out that this guy is going for power, like, and he manages to manipulate everyone with the Jester character to like really follow him or make him go. I really thought the Jester was cool and helping out Dante, and I really wanted that, but that's it. That's how he manipulates everyone, and he performs like the most like insane kick Arkham, and quickly like kicks all three of them at once, Lady and everyone. And it was really sick that they're giving that sick move to even to the boss. and it's really it's really hard to see like lady struggle. I was seeing her struggle, like she was kind of struggling to go up. She was just a human, but she still kept on pushing through, and I love that because she was like, "This is my duty. I have to do this, no matter what." And then she later understands and believes in Dante after hearing his side of the story and why he's fighting, and it's just a good moment between these two. And it still sucks that they didn't kiss each other. I don't know, like the game is for kids or something. Just make them kiss or something. Like these two are really good together. Anyway, they should have kissed at least towards at the end of the game. Maybe not at that point, I think. And then you, with all the motivation, Dante then goes up to his brother Virgil once again, and you really fight. And I kind of now there is a very funny line here with the soul line that I mentioned at the start, and I think that line is very very funny. And that Virgil laugh after that, it's also like really funny. But that it's just it's a whole very 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 sad scene. Like, you really don't want this fight to happen. I don't think even Virgil wants it, but they're just there and just fighting, and you're putting your all into it. And then these two fight, and it's a tough fight with a really tragic sound going in the background, and it makes me sad. You, for the first time, whoever played it for the first time probably never thought they'll ever be able to beat this boss fight. It's just emotional. And now that I've played this game so much, I can beat him easily. And whenever I see that cutscene towards the end at the Virgil where he's like, I should be able to do it too, just like my father. That scene is always so sad because I think things will end up different this time, only for me to remember the events of the DMC one and how that game shows up for the state of the Virgil. And it's just that cutscene always brings sadness to me. I'm like, oh man, that's going to happen. So like really bad for Virgil. Anyway, so Dante gains like identity or like what he's about, and then he finds out about himself, like what his role is in this world, and that's the title of the game, Dante's Awakening. And I love this story, and he gains new manners because of the lady, and this is just a really really great game. So and I love this game. So anyway, that's all my thoughts on the DMC 3, my favorite game in the series. And like DMC 5 comes in at second, and DMC 4 is also pretty good too. And so like, thanks to everyone for like sticking out until the end with me and really watching this video until here. So thanks guys, and just let me know if you want a DMC 1 review or not, or should I do DMC 4 next. Thanks guys, have a great day. Thanks a lot.